you struggling to capture the attention of your social media audience? In today's fast paced digital world, engaging your followers is more crucial than ever. Join us as we uncover three powerful strategies to ignite meaningful interactions and boost your social media presence like never before. Be right back.
And welcome to Content Creators Connect, where here we're all about encouraging the three C's: contact, connecting with others via video, content development that builds your personal brand, and creators sharing their experience despite their distance.
Hopefully, you can hear me.
Yes.
The C3 team member leading this evening is Manny, also known as Coach Manny. He is coaching us up in the world of social media marketing as well as pursuing his passion for streaming true crime.
I have a question for you guys. What's one social media platform that you find most challenging to get your audience engaged with your stuff? Which platform do you struggle with the most, if you struggle with any, and why might you be struggling, do you think? I'll start with Kevin. What do you think, Kevin?
Honestly, for myself, all the platforms. And I think I know the reason why is I think I spread myself just a little too thin, focusing on the consistency and trying to post on all the platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X with three different accounts on a consistent basis. So I'm not really focusing on one specific platform or one specific account. Although I have found that lately I'm getting more engagement in terms of viewers on my weekly Wednesday live stream on Facebook. So that platform actually seems to be working for me. And with the changes in streaming and Facebook, I know that at least 1 week took away from engagement because I had to revisit our C3 broadcast that we had on how to schedule Facebook and the new rules that sort of came into effect and the order of launching the stream. So I know that took 1 week away of engagement, but I digress. How about you, Dory? What is there a platform that causes you some issues?
Well, I kind of too would say all of them, but I think for a different reason than you, Kevin. So I've never really built an audience outside of Facebook at all, to be brutally honest. I may have dipped my toes in the water and dabbled a little bit on Instagram and X, but not really with the same passion or consistency. I don't know if it's because Facebook is where I started. Facebook is where I feel like I first connected with my audience. And I just found that that tool was the best at like that back and forth communication and connection that I really, really, really like thrive on. So I, Facebook is really the only one that I've ever built a solid audience connection engagement trio with. So I'm really kind of interested to hear, Manny, what you have to say tonight about this. So if all of you are as interested as this girl is right here, and this is the type of content you would like to see more of, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified whenever we go live.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to say, I loved both of your responses. And honestly, I don't think that you can have a wrong response because I think that there's always going to be some type of, I don't know that I want to even say struggle per se, except the fact that there's a learning curve to it. And not only is there a learning curve, but there's also a particular commitment level. And when I say commitment level, I mean that consistent, let me stay on this platform till I'm generating 10 leads a day before I start focusing on something else. For example, for me, I focus on YouTube more than anything else for my personal, for my type of content stuff, for the most part. And when it comes to even our content on C3, what are we doing there? We're putting up content that over time we expect people are going to be drawn to just by here. Let me just tune in here. Let me see what they're about. I every so often, don't we see a name that we're not, like, one of us is not familiar with, right? From one of our audiences, from another audience. That's just a matter of time because before that becomes a snowball effect because of the content that we're creating and sharing. Now, with that being said, there is, of course, the consistency, but then there's the what do I post about? And I think anymore, it might be easier than ever to come up with content. And that's why I feel like it's about creating the time needed to post. For example, with my time, my schedule's changed a little bit where I have a commitment to an office. I'm heading to the office a lot more. And so, but I still have a channel. You see, my YouTube channels, they're not about let me rock everything today. It's about consistency. Let me find what consistency for tomorrow, for what it brings in 10 years, from what it for what it brings in 15 years, 20 years. It's not about what it brings tomorrow. Because if I get busy thinking about what it brings tomorrow, that's no fun, right? The numbers are not growing like super overnight where it's like, oh my God, I'm Mr. Beast overnight, right? It doesn't happen that way. But with consistent, I want to get better at this, whatever platform you're choosing. I want to get better at this platform, and this is what I need to be doing. And so I want to give you a little guide here by just sharing with you 3 steps that you can be following. And little by little, you're going to want to take notes because I'm going to just be throwing stuff at you where you're going to want to take notes, or you're going to want to go back and watch. Because as I'm throwing these things at you, you're going to want to find what's going to work for you. All right. I want to share with you. I was just sharing with you how one of my channels, I've not been able to keep up with it, but I changed something a little bit. All right. So, as you guys know, one of the things I enjoy doing is true crime. And in my true crime channel, I got to keep putting up content, right? I'm almost at 6,000 subscribers. It's a marathon. It's not a I'm going to win this race overnight. And so in this, what have I started doing? I started doing a little more of let me let me uh let me use more AI audio. Let me use more AI cuts, AI everything, basically, AI creating. All I'm doing is putting it together, putting together my story, putting together the AI audio that I want with it, the voice. And nowadays, my friends, and one of my friends did this in her learning, is she just did it in her voice. She created the AI audio in her voice so then her voice can deliver the content. Okay. What did I do with that as well? Not only did I add audio, I added images, I added visuals, right? And the visuals that I added in today's presentation, the first thing that Kevin said was, "Ooh, I like that." That was AI. I just asked it to just 2 words, and I was like, you know what? I like this. That's good enough visual. Okay, so that's going to be a key word in what we're doing. But when you're thinking about all of the learning that comes with this, number one, you got to dive in and you got to say, I'm going to stick to this and I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to promise myself to work on getting better if you're doing it. If you're hiring out a company, well, that's obviously a different story, right? And so, with that, with this piece of content that we're going to be sharing, that's for you to help implement these things yourself if you are that content creators If you're following C3, you're probably a content creator, right? And so Dory, if you could share my screen real quick as we dive into this, I want to share with you some of the things that you can be doing. All right. I've shared with you before. You've heard me, if you've followed our channel for a while, you've heard me talk about the only three activities you really need to do when it comes to social media marketing, when it comes to creating stuff, right? First, you'll want to build your audience, right? And building an audience means you have people to talk to. And also, you want to be conscious of getting new eyeballs. New eyeballs mean more audience watching your stuff. And so when you're thinking about the three activities, the first thing is I need to have people that's going to pay attention, right? And then, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, you want to get your audience engaged. Engaging your audience is so key because when you're active and you're going back and forth and they're liking your stuff, it truly leads to the next part. And if you are in business and part of creating content for you is like, I want to see, I want to follow and track my return on investment with the time I'm putting in this, right? You want to make sure that you're selling something. So what are you selling to your audience that this content is important? Are you selling them on subscribing to your channel? Right? That's a key thing. It doesn't have to be monetary exchange to be a sale, technically speaking. If your goal is to make sales, then that's your goal, is to make sales monetarily, right? So you have to ask yourself, all right, what do I need to do today? Well, what are you doing to build your audience? Do you have strategies in place that focus on building your audience? I just started working with a cleaning company, and one of the first things that we have been focused on is building an audience. So right out of the gate, one of the things, like, okay, let's invite people to like the page that may not already follow. Then really quickly, boom, 35 new followers. It's new audience. When you meet new people out there, you're gonna go Facebook friend them, like, hey, let me check out their stuff. I like what they're bringing. I like the content. I'm gonna send a friend request. I'm going to engage them with a friendly message, like, hey, I came across your content. It resonates with me. You're the type of person I like to follow. I hope you don't mind. I sent a request. That's it. Don't sell them then, right? You warm them up with your content. You warm them up by getting them engaged by the content you're putting out there, which is what we're going to be focused on, is engaging. And so you got to think about what different things, well, as I shared, you want to build that audience, engage that audience, sell that audience. All right. So when you're looking, you're like, okay, I need to put out stuff. Yes, you need to put out stuff. You put out stuff that is related to family, right? Put out stuff that is related to entertainment. Yes, absolutely. Put out stuff that motivates other people. Absolutely. Those are all things that you should be conscious of. And you want to ask for the sale as well. You want to have a strong call to action in whatever it is that you want them to do. Whether you hear us every single week, right? We have a call to action in the middle, we have a call to action at the end, right? We tell you, hey, subscribe if this is the type of stuff you like to follow. So you have to think about those three activities. That alone is what your whole social media presence is about. You're following those three things. Along the line is the creative stuff you're doing, the shows you're creating, the engagement that you're creating, the growth of your following that you're creating. And so one of the very important things you want to keep conscious of is that you're creating interactive content. Okay? What is that? Well, when you ever see those polls that people put out, that's interactive. When you're doing lives, one of the pieces of lives is how They get to interact with you live, uncut, raw, while they're going on. And so when you have interactive content, you have to think about what is your goal with this interactive content? Sorry, moving a little too quick there. What is your goal with this interactive content? Because that's key by itself. Do you want to create a quiz that they can fill out to help you understand your audience a little more? What about stories? You ever see those stories that have you swipe up? That's interactive content. Or when they tell you to go get engaged in the bottom, that's interactive, right? You're getting them engaged, asking questions on social media. That's interactive. Asking people for opinions. That's interactive. Do you have any challenges for your followers to participate in? Are you in health and wellness and maybe you have, hey, I'm having a 30-day challenge? That's interactive, right? That's one of the best ways to get your audience engaged with your stuff. And so as long as it's related to your brand or your niche, you're spot on with what you're trying to do with your interactive content. So think about that, because when people feel involved, they're more likely to continue to engage with your stuff. So keep that in mind as well, because when you're putting out content and you want to engage them, you want them to feel important, well, interactive content. And here is a big factor. And this is something I need to be more better at as well. When people are commenting on your stuff, that you comment back, even if it's a per one basis, like each comment you comment back. That is so great for engagement. Okay, so that's another something that you should really keep in mind if you yourself are going to be more proactive about this. But when you're sharing accomplishments, right? This is another great way to get them interactive, because people always like to see accomplishments, even if they don't always quite understand what's behind it. If you're happy about an accomplishment and you display some social proof about that accomplishment, a lot of people are going to get behind it. Sometimes even your haters are going to get behind it. And so think about that as you're creating that interactive content, that you're trying to get them engaged, that you want them to proactive. You're trying to be proactive with getting this engagement. That's the type of interactive content that you want to put out there. So this is going to encourage participation from your audience onto your content. That's interactive content. So keep that in mind the next time that you're doing stuff. Another thing, and you probably, if you think about engagement, you probably already thought this was going to be something. You heard me talk about this earlier. Visual appeal. This is key when it comes to the type of content that you put out there. You know, you have people that will just put out text. Yes, if you notice, Facebook, this has been years now, but you can have that nice color background on your text, right? That's visual appeal. Facebook learned that you like visual appeal. So they created it so that you don't have to just put the plain, boring text on white, right? So they added where you can add colors, flowers, poops, poop emojis, right? So they created it to also add visual appeal that's also help engagement, also interactive engagement from that, right? Because they know that you're going to want that visual appeal from it. So when you think about incorporating visually appealing elements into your post, this is what's going to help catch the eye of your audience. This is what's going to help stop them in their tracks. Think about that. Because when they're scrolling on their phone, you want to stop them in their tracks. That's what's going to say, hey, what's going on over here? Well, that's part of that visual appeal, because it's going to be high quality images preferably, high quality videos, infographics, people like those type of things, different animations. If you do any type of animations, that's the importance of these stories now, right? That ephemeral content, the stuff that's only going to last for 24 hours. It's not going to stay out there long. But what comes with it? A visual appeal to get you to stop you in your tracks and check out this story before it disappears, right? And so you got to think about that. But when you're creating these high quality images and videos, different things like that, it's going to captivate their attention. What's it going to do then? It's going to then get you that engagement. It's going to encourage those likes, those comments, those shares. That's all engagement. And so when you're putting out different content, experiment with the different types of visuals that you put up there. Experiment with shorts, experiment with stories, experiment with different type of videos, experiment with the different lengths. See what your audience likes. These are key things when it comes to capturing their attention. Having little dogs in your content is always a great way, right? Amy Gill posted relaxing on the weekend. This is of her dog. Over 109 people engaged with that. 21 comments with that, right? And so it's key. And I want to share with you on something. And I'm gonna throw myself under the bus. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus. Look at this right here. All right, this had 134 engagements of likes, loves, wows, 58 comments. This could be over 100 if I was doing what I'm telling you to do. Go back and comment on each of those comments, right? I need to take time to do that, but I'm going to encourage you to do as I say in this moment, not as I do, because I'm actually hurting myself when I do that. I know, but I don't want you to hurt yourself. So I'm going to throw myself under the bus in hopes that you don't do this to yourself, but engage with every single piece of comment that comes in. Engage with the negative. I engage with my negative. I get a lot of that stuff on YouTube. When you're doing different type of stuff, whenever you try to step up, other people will try to break you down. And that's just what it is, right? But you just have to keep going, but always work on getting better for yourself and for your audience. Because truth is, they're the ones liking your stuff. They're the ones commenting. They're the ones engaging with your content. So make sure that you go back and go and comment on all of those and continue to do this. And number 3, consistent engagement. Again, do as I say more in this aspect, because there's no doubt this works. Because when I was proactive about all of this, that's how I became a believer in what I was doing. So I'm sharing that with you because I know it works. And so being consistent, right? I know that though I was sharing a little earlier, and I get myself sidetracked a lot on these, but I've been so busy, I haven't been able to put up content as much as I want. I love to do lives, but I went to AI audio. I went to doing, adding the images. I didn't change anything about that, but adding the audio as a voice, and then creating a little more appeal myself behind the scenes as production. Let me tell you what, I've gotten so many more subscribers and views on the stuff that's not my face and not my voice. So my point being is, first you had to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere, and then I had to work on getting better. And so now I found solutions for me and my content creation so that I can continue to be consistent. Because when it comes to wanting consistent engagement, you have to be consistent in the engagement. Here's what this does. When you're creating consistent engagement around you, you're fostering a sense of community around your audience. I love to use this one example of this content creator. Her name is Gisela I want to say, and she's Grizzly True Crime. If you're a true crime follower, you probably know her. I really like her content. And she everything that I'm talking about, she's great about continuing her consistent engagement, her consistent content, always showing up. She moved homes. I know when I was moving, I was like, I'm just not gonna worry about it. But she was continuing to be consistent. So I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. And I look and I see, I'm like, great job. I'm not gonna get caught up on me not being that person, but I'm gonna give credit where it's due. But I am gonna tell you that when it comes to consistent engagement, that's what you're doing. You're fostering a sense of community by actively responding to comments, by actively responding to those messages that you're getting and those mentions from your audience. It's important that you are actively engaging with them because here's what's happening, it's going to show appreciation for their input. So it's going to show that you actually care, that they took time to do that, and they appreciate you answering their questions, right? So that's exactly what's going on. That's going to be consistent engagement, right? And so what's going on there? Well, you're participating in conversations that's related to what you do, to your industry, to your brand. So think about that. When you're thinking about consistent engagement, it's going to demonstrate that you value your followers, and it also encourages them to continue that engagement, to continuing interacting with your live, your video, your post, your whatever it is that you are getting from them. They're liking it. Be consistent because that's going to help you in the long run. And I love to use Colin Yearwood as an example. I look at this. He did a video, he uploaded a new video setup, a huge update. He was happy about the camera that he set up. And look, he got a bunch of engagement. He also interacted with those comments, which also boost the engagement. But I give him big time credit because of consistently showing up. And so when you're consistent, your consistency shows that you care, that your followers, they have expectations. I love to use classic Mac Kevin as an example. He shows up every week, live in and live out consistently. For many years now, he has some of the best graphics you'll find on a consistent live show. He's showing up for his audience because he knows you never know who's listening, who's going to love his stuff. Well, hey, Coach Manny loves your stuff because you consistently put out great content. And so, as we wrap this up, I want to share with you that it's key that you consistently show up for your audience because at the end of the day, you're not showing up just to hear your own voice, right? You're showing up because you are showing up for other people to either hear you, read about you, read your content, hear your content, watch your content. Which three are you showing up for? Preferably all three, but if not all three, which three? Because let's be real, there are some people that just want to read the content, they want to watch the content, they want to hear the content, right? So, which ones are you serving? Because it's pretty easy to serve all three if you're willing to take those extra few, sometimes 30 minutes, right? When I'm creating my content now, honestly, I'm able to get a lot of it done in an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and I have everything. I have a bunch of content, and I don't have to put my face on it at the moment. I miss my lives because I've done hundreds and I don't know, probably over 1,000 now live video content. So I've grown to love this stuff, right? And so you get used to it, but the number one thing I got to do is I got to make sure, hey, like, I know that followers are like, hey, where's your content? I already get the question. So I know that they're looking, they're expecting it, they're waiting for it. Now, it's changed a little. Let's see what kind of comments I'll get on that. But so far, I'm getting a lot of subscribers. And here's the thing, I feel it in my channel. I see the numbers. The numbers don't lie. When I'm not consistent with content, the numbers tell me so. So it's the truth. Continue to put up your content. Be consistent. You never know who's paying attention, but truth is, there's someone paying attention. So I want to wrap this up, and I want to ask my friendly partners here, my cohorts, my longtime friends here. I want to ask, as we wrap up, what's one key takeaway or advice that you'd like to leave our viewers with regarding social media engagement with what you learned? Did you find that there was some value in what I shared that you can share with the audience? What do you guys think? We'll go with you.
I have to unmute myself because I was blushing and can't believe you said those nice things about me. Thank you so much, Manny. I appreciate you sharing that about my streams. Yeah, I do like to put a lot of effort into the graphic and the visuals. So I love doing that, and I love to switch it up every so often as well. And yeah, it does take time to do it, but it does keep your audience sort of on their toes to see, okay, what's he going to do next week? Is he going to change things up, or is it going to be the same? So definitely loved that part of the visual representation. But one thing that I sort of taken away was like the interactive content. I have done that, but I don't think I've done it often enough and to know what kind of content resonates with my audience. Um, like I've done different polls, I've done different surveys, I've asked questions on stream, and unfortunately, I think I have a lot of passive viewers as well. So they're not participating in the discussion during those live shows. So some of those points that you're making about making engaging content, I did type in a few questions which we'll get to, but like questioning like how do you engage those passive viewers that are just watching you because they want to support you, but they're not actually logged in. Like I have some coworkers, they just log into their like Hulu or one of those streaming TVs, but they just log into YouTube and they just watch on their TV as opposed to logging in on a mobile device or a computer to be able to interact. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about that. But overall, great content. I know that we all strive to incorporate all those three topics that you discussed today. So, Dory, was there anything that you sort of took away from Manny's content today?
So, yes, all of it, basically. So a couple things for me. Excuse me. Been drinking water because I get a little frog in my throat. I really resonated, Manny, when you showed the example of Amy using her dog and just mentioning about, having like a relaxing weekend, um, and how much interaction and engagement that post got. And it always brings me back to an idea that I think sometimes as content creators, all of us get wrapped up in I have to produce content. I have to go back and reproduce shorts. I have to do this. I have to do that. That we forget it's really important to remember that our audience wants to see our daily lives as well. So even if like for me, I'm the tech geek. Everybody's personal geek squad. Hashtag not sponsored. But I think even if we're someone who's seen in like a tech realm, they also want to see that we're not robots, that we're human beings, and that we do the same things every day that they do. We have families, we have children, we have spouses, we have pets, and we have things that go wrong. It's not all, rainbows and butterflies. And I think that all of that makes us really relatable. And
Yeah.
as far as like the actual like 3 points that you discussed, I am really big on visual appeal. I think it's really important to grab someone's attention. And I think a lot of that is, we are taught that you have like not even 3 seconds to grab someone's attention before they continue scrolling. So you either grab them with a visual or some sort of like stunning audio effect or something like that. For me, I'm always into the visuals. I love designing. I think, visual attention, because a lot of people actually scroll through social media with their mute button on. And that's something that people don't realize when they're creating content. They are going to have their audio turned off and they're just scrolling until something grabs their attention. Um, and so I think doing the visual appeal is something really fun. And I have a lot of creative ideas about that. I just think it's an awesome chance for us to grow an audience beyond those who like regularly tune in. And it's part of why I developed my primal branding the way I do. Like I wear like the bold glasses and the bright colors and my studio is bright, and I just think that it creates a vibe that visually equates to what they're going to expect out of my personality. So I think that that was a really important takeaway. Mm, the rest of it was important as well. I know that I suck at the consistency part. Two thumbs down on the consistency part, but I think I'm two thumbs up on the visual. Um, but I
Yeah,
am going to move over
100% I
because
agree.
Kevin had some really amazing questions. So I want to ask you, Manny, to put your thinking cap on here for a second. And
Love
we're
it.
going to go through some of Kevin's questions. So this one he already touched on briefly. And Kevin, I'm going to just turn it over to you if you want to
Yeah.
elaborate on that or if you want to let Manny jump into that.
Yeah, I was just sort of, as I was alluding to, I did have some coworkers, like they said, on those devices that don't have a way to input questions and so forth. How do you sort of get them to move over to a mobile device to be able to input that sort of thing and get their participation in a live stream?
Oh, so I'm gonna say I think it's more on their personality, whether they like to use a mobile phone. So my wife is just like you, or just like you described. She does not watch it on the phone unless she's waiting for her son while picking him up at school. She might jump on YouTube very rarely. She always watches it on the phone. But from an engagement standpoint, they can still like it literally right from their TV. That's what I meant with my wife. She only watches it from the TV 90 plus
Mm.
percent of the time. And from the TV, she'll literally go through and look at the comments from the TV. Like if something seems like,
Mm.
oh, I wonder what people are saying, she's looking at the comments. She's leaving likes from TV. So that's engagement right there, just liking it. So you can easily encourage them, like, hey, if you are watching it, I would greatly appreciate it if you just click the like, because that they can do from a smart TV without a doubt. And so encourage them to do that at the minimum because that's part of the engagement. But it all comes to that part of that call to action, like, hey, wherever you're at, if you're on Facebook, give it a follow, give it a like. If you're on YouTube, give it a subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you get notified whenever we go, you know what we share.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thanks. That's I never realized that it was able to like as part of the TV portion of it or platform.
Nice.
And uh, Kevin's next question was, what kind of tools do you use for polls and are they cross platform?
It's just
With
more.
AI now, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, do
Go
you
ahead.
use more of the native platform apps that they have, or do you use something that sort of goes across, like a YouTube, a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing?
It truly comes down to what you're using. Like if you're doing Facebook ads, that might be a little different for polls and whatever you're doing. But like if you're doing a poll or a survey, I like to use Google for a lot of whatever I'm creating, because then it's easy to give them access and to follow who's opening, who's not opening. So whenever I'm creating polls or surveys, I like to use Google. For the most part, I am starting to use Microsoft a lot more, but with Excel but for the most part, I use Google Docs, or I forget what it is. Google Google has a few different products for those. But with I haven't tried anything AI related. That might be a whole different ball game now, that you can easily, when I started looking for audio AI, I just did AI audio Google and just started looking through some options, and I was like, I could test a few of these. And so I know with that exact same thing, you'll find some that you can either use Zapier with, or probably Canva. Honestly, Canva actually might. I'm almost sure
Mhm.
that Canva has that.
Yeah, I've used the Google Forms before, and yeah, they're great tools, but they need to actually sign in with a Gmail account, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
um,
which is getting
hopefully,
harder now.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
people hopefully have that so that they're able to sign in and they're able to get engaged. But if not, yeah, that's one great tool that is definitely cross-platform. So thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it looks like, Kevin, you've got one more here if you want to kind of explain what you were looking for
Yeah,
there.
you were talking about being consistent with your content that you're producing. And are you consistently pushing towards short form or your longer form content? Because there's like taking our longer form and then making it into shorter form. Are you consistently focusing on that kind of thing? Or are you creating sort of net new content in a short form version?
Yes, great question. So anymore, like right now, with what I'm creating and learning how to get better at this process that I've created for myself, I will most likely share it on do one of these trainings once I get the process down. But right now, I'm trying to hit 8-minute videos. I haven't been quite able to hit the 8-minute videos, but take right now they've been 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Might have been the longest, been about 3 to 4 minutes mostly. And then I'm still doing Opus to break them down. So I'm still using that process of breaking them down and then having that much more content. To be completely honest with you guys, I've probably gotten 100 new subscribers in the last week doing that, and
Wow.
not using my audio, not using my voice, not using my face.
Wow.
So it's been very interesting. And with the one of my new clients that I've been working with, their YouTube channel as well, the numbers, it's like it's a whole different realm. It has nothing to do with true crime. And even there, it's like you can see the shorts getting more views. So shorts is definitely where I think if you're starting a new YouTube channel, you part of the strategy, I'm gonna still preach long form content because I know YouTube prefers it. Even from an ad a monetizing standpoint, YouTube, they want you to go long enough to have mid form ads. If you don't go to 8 minutes, they can't put mid form ads on there, which is lost opportunity. So they rather you have content that hits the 8-minute mark, so that they can give a long that next ad.
That makes sense.
If
Yeah, that
Yes.
makes sense. Yeah. Um, Kevin, I think that was the last one that you had.
Yeah, I do believe that's it. Just going through my questions, and yeah, so great, great answers. I appreciate all that
Right.
knowledge that you're sharing with us.
Thank you. Great
And
questions.
before we kick it over for Manny to summarize, I think one of the most important things, Manny, that you mentioned tonight is worth putting up on the screen, large and in charge. Consistent engagement shows that you value your audience. And I think that's important for every content creator to remember. So, with
Look at
that,
us.
we are
We
going to,
show up. We do our best to show up every single week, and at 7 we're live because we don't think about, for us, we think the audience, that's the expectations we created, right?
yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So, we're going to kick it to Manny to wrap things up.
My friends, thank you so much for joining us today. At the end of the day, my goal is that I encourage you in any little form to start creating content. Here at C3, we're all about creating that content. And so when you're thinking about different ways to engage, you heard me mention earlier about stories being one of those ways to get people engaged. And so I want to take you to March 17th of this year, not long ago, where I did a video, The Power of Disappearing Stories, where you can drive results for your brand. Why stories? What's the difference when it comes to stories and reels and all those other things? What is it with this ephemeral content, and why do we want to create content that's within 24 hours, right? So how about go from engagement to learn how to get more engagement with those ephemeral videos? And so I'm going to take you to March 17th. Someone's going to drop that link below, and over to you, Kevin.
All right. If you enjoyed this type of content, we would love it if you would like and subscribe. Sharing our content is also a great way to spread the love. You can also visit our website for information on all the ways you can connect with us at linktree/content creators connect. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Also, drop down in the comments any kind of content that you'd like to see us do a deeper dive in the future.
And with that, we would like to say thank you for joining Content Creators Connect, aka C3, tonight as Manny discussed 3 effective ways to engage your audience on social media. Next Sunday, we will be pausing our streaming schedule to celebrate the moms, the grandmamas, and the wives in our lives. So we will return 2 Sundays from now at 8 p.m. Eastern, where I will be doing a deep dive demo of our new project management tool of choice, ClickUp. You will see how we have set up our own workspace here at C3 and get a demonstration of the basics that will allow you to begin using the free version of the tool as soon as possible. We'll be multicasting live to YouTube, Facebook, and X, so be sure to join us. Until then, we urge you to identify and lean into your 3 C's. Start today creating unique content that builds connections and breaks down those barriers. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye. Thanks for
See ya.
joining.